Hello, and welcome back to The Director's Cut, brought to you by the Directors Guild of America, where each episode we bring you a fresh and insightful interview featuring one of the film industry's top directors, conducted by one of their peers. Remember to subscribe to our podcast on iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts. This episode takes us behind the scenes of director Sean McNamara's new drama, The Miracle Season. Based on a true story, the film follows a high school volleyball team and their coach, who overcome their grief after the sudden death of their star player and band together in hopes of winning the state championship. In addition to The Miracle Season, Mr. McNamara's credits include the feature films Spare Parts, Hoovy, Soul Surfer, and Field of Lost Shoes, the movies for television Love in Paradise and Just in Time for Christmas, and episodes of the television series Even Stevens, That's So Raven, and Chesapeake Shores. Following a recent screening of the film at the DGA Theater in Los Angeles, Mr. McNamara spoke with director Helen Hunt about filming The Miracle Season. During their conversation, he discusses the fast-paced 33-day shoot, how his love of sports movies like Rocky influenced The Miracle Season, and how he was able to translate the tension and intensity of a volleyball game to the silver screen.
Thanks for coming out on a Saturday. Nervous making to have your movie watched by directors, or comforting, or both?
The most nervous I've ever been.
Ever. Yeah. You know they feel your pain, but after that, it's a steep hill.
Exactly.
I came in for the last 15 minutes because I've seen the movie a few times recently, and it's embarrassing to cry at your own movie. So I'm glad nobody saw that.
I cry every time.
Yeah, it's the story. How did the story find you? I really don't know the answer to that.
I had seen it on HBO, Brian Gumbel. So when it actually happened, and I remember just thinking, "Wow, this is an amazing story." And then literally like 3 or 4 years later, the LD producers called me and they sent me the script and that video again. And when I watched the video again, because I always put off reading the script, it was just made me bawl. And then I just read the script and I said, this would be a pretty decent movie, I think.
Yeah, like so many movies, it's had a few, it had drafts and contributors. But when I read it, I was taken by the fact that this introverted, not super dynamic girl would be the protagonist. That seemed, I don't know if it's unusual, but it seemed just right and like something I could taste in a movie that a friend of mine who read it said if you were writing it, they wouldn't win at the end, but they won at the end. How did it land with Kelly as the protagonist, and how did you wrestle with the sort of perfect, imperfect fact that they won?
It was tough. It was a couple of things. The first draft I read, Caroline lived to page like 65. And so it was like, gosh, we're going to get to know and be invested in this girl. And then I don't know how to come back or bring a movie back. So that was a challenge that we adjusted. And then they won 15 times in a row. So talk about trying to get drama into that. That was definitely a challenge. And then they win, and then they win again, and they win. So it was a definite challenge to try to figure out how to make that work.
Yeah. Other than the obvious casting of the coach, I got to be in Soul Surfer, which is, I'm pretty sure, how I wormed my way into this movie. And I will just say, as an actor, I did a symposium here with my dad once for episodic and pilot directors in particular wanting to know how do you work with actors. And I can tell you that if you're in, it had been how many years since Soul Surfer when we did this?
I think 6 or 7 years.
Long time. But I did my first scene, which was the scene in the library with me and Aaron, when I say I think we should play. And we did the first take, and I heard Sean say, "Cut, genius." And I had a minute where I went, genius. And then slowly it dawned on me that's what he says when it's not awful. I don't remember when you say when it is awful, like good, great, or something.
That's really good.
Yeah, that's really good. You've just been really horrible. But I'll just say, which isn't really a question, that the positivity factor working with you is high. And I think it paid off in every way in this movie. So casting, other than me.
Well, it's interesting. It's finding actors who can play volleyball is a very difficult thing to do, because usually girls at that age are either really good and talented at acting or they're really good at volleyball, but rarely do they do both. So at the end of the day, I was like, we have to go with the actors. We have to go with who's going to sell the story and teach them as much about volleyball as we can. So we had Danica,
who plays
Caroline, and Erin, who plays Kelly, for 2 months doing weightlifting and volleyball. And I felt so bad. Her arms were...
Erin weighs about 17 ounces.
Yes.
And if she were sitting here, she would say her volleyball was not the thing that...
Right, but they were troopers, and they did that. And then... just a quick story, on day one, when I finally put them with all the girls, the real volleyball players who are all 6 feet or so, literally first shot, somebody comes up and spikes it into Kelly's face. Luckily, she turned to the side. Yes, right into Erin's face, knocked her down. And I'm like, no more hitting the ball at the actors again, ever. We'll put the doubles in for that and do that. So that was, I went for actors first and tried to get the best. And then I found the mid ground for the girls who had less lines, but they had volleyball experience so they could look believable. And then there were actually a couple other parts, and financially we couldn't afford both. So I said, let's cut those parts and get real volleyball players so I could stay on them and actually see them hit the ball legitimately. So, and then we made them part of the team and kept them up with that. And then William Hurt. I mean, he just breaks my heart every time he's up in the stands, and he just gives that look. And he's...
Have you worked with him before?
I did. I did The King's Daughter with him, which comes out in August. But he's just he's an amazing actor, and he's interesting how you direct him. You can't say like, you enter through that door and you sit in the chair and you have the scene. You have to. He'll be confused and not sure what to do. So I'll say, you've been hungry for 3 hours. Let's do it. And that he'll go, I got it now. Yeah. So it's weird. You have to like just create an environment. You have to talk to him in ways that he's feeling it. He comes from theater. So it's like he wants to rehearse. He wants to feel an environment. So it's a little bit.
Feel that I'm hungry for 3 hours.
Yeah.
How do you direct me?
Well, it's interesting. What Helen brings to the project is she is a director and a writer also. So she knows, being an actor, that the way it's written is so important. So just working with you on the script first is really important. And then we have rehearsals, and we sit and we run every single scene with, whether it be with William or with the girls, and we run it so we talk about if there's any issues or things, so we're like offline doing it. And then on the set, it's just, we put it up and we try it, and things happen, and it's like, oh, that's great, and that's not so great, and we just try to find our way. And but it's that preparation that I think is key.
Something happened. I think it has to do with you and the spirit of the story. But how many girls are there total? If you take, there's volleyball players who did a wonderful job acting, in my opinion, and actors who did a good job looking like they play volleyball. So the total of the West team was how many?
Well, I think there was like 15 of the ones,
right,
but like 10 who had to really, I tried to have you get to know.
So the odds that there's not one jerk in that group,
yeah.
I mean, it's a miracle, not to be clever, but they loved each other. And I brought my daughter, and they circled around her like, the witches in Macbeth. They just, it was...
Well, that's so wonderful
wild
about a sports movie, because this is what these young women do. They get into huddles, and between every play they come in, even if they blew it, they go, good job, we'll get them next time, and they keep going at it and that sort of bonding and camaraderie made its way to the set. And I think it started with the volleyball players, and they taught us, because we didn't know, hey, let's do take 2, all right, go. Right. It was that sort of thing that that was cool.
I made one sports movie, which you helped me with, called Ride, which was a surf movie, and I directed the finale of Mad About You. Both of those had these big montages in it, and I didn't learn from the first time to the second time, and I got in the editing room and went, let's watch the montage. Oh, it's over? Like, I learned that you need 700 million shots to build that.
Right.
You probably knew that and learned it the first time.
I guess, especially in a sports film, you tend to roll a lot of, you get a lot of footage, and then I usually get a second editor, because there's so much footage. The first editor doesn't want to cut it because there's too much. And so they start culling through it and finding the best pieces. And from those, you can start to build a montage.
In terms of prep, I don't know if you storyboarded it, but I know what you did, which is hire 2 great coaches, volleyball coaches, one U.S., one Canadian, right?
Right.
And they mapped out every shot. And I actually got there days before I shot, and I looked at them both and said, I don't want to look stupid. That's on you. And so they just, I mean, it wasn't, it was so specifically worked out, point for point for point. I mean, once in a while he'd say, just play, and we'd shoot.
Right.
But mostly it was bad guys set the ball.
Right.
Good guys set it to the super player or to the nervous freshman. The nervous freshman misses. That's point 1. Let's do 3 takes of that.
So there's
Point
10
2.
games with 6 plays in each game.
I mean, can you imagine? This is the only room that actually could feel the uphill climb of that.
And then you have to think, I want to cover it kind of wide. I want to get in closer. I want to see their faces. And then you talk to your DP, and it's like, you're at the end of the day and you've gotten like 1/4 of your shots, and you're like, how are we going to do this?
One thing I remember offering up is, let's have me wear the same thing. Because in this surf movie I made, I was in it and I wore the same wetsuit all the time. Like just that way you can steal whatever you want.
And we did.
And you did,
There's
right?
shots from all the games in all the games. Sure. Yeah.
What prep served you the most that you did? And was there anything that you went, oh, next time I'm going to be readier for this or that?
Well, for me, the prep starts with meeting the family. I met Ernie Found, and because I want to make sure that I don't blow his story. Like, I don't want to, this is a real life. This was much more challenging. I mean, Soul Surfer was challenging, but Bethany went on and lived, and she is successful. She's married. She has kids.
This
and
is
she's
the first thing you said to me about what you were nervous about.
Right, number 3 in the world. Now I have to meet this man, and he lost his wife, and he lost his daughter. And so how do you go in and say, I'm going to make a movie about this? Like, how do you get there? And so we went and we just started having dinner, and we had beer, and 2 grown men crying sometimes and then talking. But that guy, he's like 6'6". He just towers above me, and he is, I don't know how he does it. I don't know how he wakes up every day, but he does. And he made me feel comfortable to ask the questions. And so the prep is trying to find out how this family came back. So once I got that, then it's working with the writers, and then working with, how we make this actually happen, from the script to the screen, finding locations. We shot this up in Vancouver, and it's funny how life goes. I had been on a TV show like a year before, and they showed me that house, the yellow house and the red barn. And that's what Ernie Found had. When I went to Iowa and saw his house, he had a huge red house. He had a red barn. He had a white house. So I wanted to try to paint the house white, but we couldn't afford to paint the house white, so it stayed yellow. And then it turns out it was like in Smallville. It was the Superman house. So it's funny how you'll go from other projects and bring them into the projects you're doing.
It occurred to me when I watched this that it's sort of tragic that you shot your volleyball movie digitally and your surf movie on 35.
Right,
Wouldn't
that's
you
true.
give anything just to go back and be able
Well,
to
I love film. It was funny.
But 35 millimeter. I shot a sports movie with a red camera in a box with a, water polo genius. But I didn't shoot it with a 35 millimeter camera. That seems...
Well, on Soul Surfer, we were testing, digital. We were going to go digital, and then we realized there was not enough underwater housings for digital cameras to go underwater a lot and be out in the water and on the back of a jet ski and in the water and all that stuff. So we had to go with film, and that's the last movie that I made on film, and it was extraordinary to do it. And I do miss the grain. I miss all the sound. I miss the fact that in 10 minutes you have to stop, whereas up here, like, there were half-hour takes. They just kept going because they were playing a volleyball, and that makes it tough in editing because you're just, wading through that much footage.
As an actor, I found when the big switch happened, it was and I appreciate when directors keep an eye on this, that they just say, yeah, let's roll, whatever. And people are still talking, and people are still futzing, and they're still rewriting in the case of a lot of TV shows. And when is it on? Is it time to start? Because I don't know when to get my game face on. But in this case, I think it served you because you could shoot and shoot and shoot and shoot.
Right, yeah. And it's always, again, sometimes it's just we're behind. So how else just say, let's just shoot. Everyone will catch in pretty soon.
Yeah.
And yeah, one of the volleyball things was we had specific scenes all mapped out, and then I just would let them play so that the camera didn't exactly know where to go, and the players didn't know exactly where they were going. And as long as they didn't hit it in Aaron's face, I was happy.
Are there movies that you thought about when you made this, turned to, aspired to be like?
Well, I mean, I grew up on Rocky, you know. I just remember going to see that film and just getting out of the theater and running. Dun, dun, dun. You know, it's just that.
For how long did that last?
Till this morning. It just keeps going. But I knew that. So something about sports films have an inherent drama put in. It makes it easier to go, there's a beginning, middle, and end. They're going to win or lose, up or down. So it helps tell the story. But yeah, films like that are the ones that I, really did. And, I don't know. I saw McFarlane USA. That was a running movie. There's just great sports movies, and I love watching them. And
I think I called you from North Carolina, where I was working, and we were talking about it. And I said, "Can I somehow be Kurt Russell in Miracle? Because if I can do that, then I'd really." And was that Mark, the same coach?
Yes,
Is that right?
Mark
so
Ellis,
the coach who advised and choreographed these shots, did Miracle, and I just love that movie.
Yeah, and he's such a great coach because he got everybody. I mean, it was like we were on a team, and the girls, they just loved him, and they would do things for him, and he just got them all excited. Like you were really coaching a real game. And like the film part was there, and he understands film, so he knows how to work it with the camera, and he worked it with the team, so they became really, really good.
And then talk about post and in particular sound, because I know that. First of all, the experience of being with these volleyball players is they're all like a slinky. They're this big and they're texting and whatever. And then you say, time to warm up. And these 6'3" goddesses slam the shit out of the ball. And it's fantastic to see women being so potent and physically powerful. And that it's the one sport where between every point you remind each other how great you are. I mean, it's unique in that way, according to the woman that I played. But tell me how you made sound decisions about sound.
Well, I went and saw them. I didn't know that. I've seen it, from school, and I kind of saw it on television. But when I got involved with this film, I went right onto the court with them, and that's when you saw and you felt and you heard the power, and you heard it and you felt it. So it was my goal to try to make sure that we heard it and felt it here. And when you see just the athleticism out of these, you just want to capture it. And there's not a lot of volleyball movies to track to go, how did they do it before? So it was really experimentation and doing, with the iPhone, just kind of testing and shooting some shots and trying to figure it out.
Were there any sort of all is lost moments that you came back from as a director, that kind of, we lost the and somehow, the good enough or better choice came in?
Sure. This was a 33-day shoot. And I think Miracle, which was ice hockey, had like 60 or 70 days. So you know what I mean? Fair. Right. So 33 days with all that volleyball and all of that coverage, and it's fast. Really so fast. Every day. And I did. And it was weird. It was a struggle because I had, shots on cranes and dollies, and then I was going to move it with the cameras on the court, but because you got to choreograph it with the actors, and then the intention was to get right into their face, and the dripping and right from a screamer shot. And the day was over, and I had just gotten the crane shot off. And I was like, uh-oh, and then I was like, the next game we had, I was like, okay, do I start on their faces first and then work my way out? Because I know that the more of the drama played in. But in my humble opinion, I didn't get into their face enough, because a lot of it, I had to get the wider shots to kind of know what everybody was doing. And for safety reasons, you have to plot every move out so nobody runs into each other. And then you could move in, and then we pulled players out, or and then got the camera right up to people's faces. But that was the biggest challenge. Like, first of all, you blink, it's lunch. You blink, and it's over for the day. And every day, like when we were at those gyms, we were at a new location, so we only had one day, or like a half a day for those games. So that was a challenge. That if I were to do it again, I would say I need a full-time second unit, and I need 10 more days just to get the volleyball right.
Even second unit, I mean, what I was able to hang on to when I watched it is that you made a narrative. So the nervous girl wants the ball, then doesn't want the ball, and then crushes the ball. And the fiery one, who, by the way, showed up for this movie and without asking anybody, took a Sharpie that doesn't come off and put those eyes on her face. I was like, how's that? I was like, I've been doing this a long time, and I've never not asked if I can
But it was great. I loved
a
it.
tattoo on my body.
Like, all right.
I
let's
mean,
do
it was great. She'll be a giant star in 6 seconds with that attitude. But yeah, it wasn't just go shoot some volleyball. It was the plot in the volleyball that made us just not watch a lot of green and, red flying around. So that was a huge accomplishment, I thought.
It was. And it I've never been on, with Soul Surfer, it's a single sport. One person at a time is standing up surfing, and you could do one. When you have to choreograph, 10 people on the court and the people on the side and everything.
Why did she miss the ball? Why does it go to her?
And capture it all. That it was much a larger thing to deal with.
Yeah.
And it was. Nothing was really I only really storyboard special effect shots. That's going to end up costing some money, so I have to know how we're going to do it. By the way, on any given day, there were only 100 extras there.
I know. We just
we would move them around,
change their shirts,
and and then some of the wider shots we digitally, and that's actually easier because sometimes it's hard when you're dealing with so many people on a set. You're like. There's just too many of you around. Whereas I kept looking in the stands, going, God, I hope we have the money to put people in here later. So.
Right.
Knock on wood, they made their way in.
The 2 small movies I made, I tell people you could make a drinking game out of spotting how many times the producer Moon, who shows up. Like, oh, she's in the camp. She also just she would walk by and change sweaters and walk by again. It's like you just get super humble and desperate. I have this many pennies and that much movie. Let's go.
Right.
Do you? We have kids the same age who now are like. She'll say to me sometimes, Mark's at the blah, blah, blah. So I guess they're Instagram something. But do you think about him when you make this movie? Like, how do I keep him from being bored? How do I have him care when he watches it?
He's in it. As is
my daughter, thanks to you.
Yeah.
My stepson.
The redhead.
The redhead is my daughter, and the court announcer with the blonde hair is my stepson.
That's amazing.
Who auditioned for the part, to be clear.
So, yeah, and nailed it. So it was amazing. So, I don't know. What I love, I have 3 little boys, and I just wanted to expose them to a great sports movie, and they just loved it. And they, it's just girls, guys, they love it all. They love, and my big thing is getting them away from the digital because they become monsters. I don't know but my boys, if I don't get them out of the house and swimming or running or doing something, and they're on those machines too long, it's strange the effect that it has. And I think it's just important that this movie goes and shows young women and young boys, go out and play sports, go have fun, you move your body.
Someone at our screening said it was so fun to see her boyfriend watching her play and having played that girlfriend. At the end of the night, they shoot you in the stands with a tear in your eye. It was really fun to have that part goes to the boy and the women are out there playing. That was a relief to my soul. Thank you guys for coming and seeing the movie so much.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to another DGA Q&A. If you'd like to hear more, you can find past episodes of The Director's Cut wherever you listen to podcasts. And be sure to click subscribe so you won't miss an episode. If you're enjoying the podcast, please like, share, and leave us a review. We'd love to hear your feedback. Thanks again for listening, and we'll see you next time. This podcast is produced by the Directors Guild of America. Music is by Dan Wally.